Hi, everybody. Come on into the show.
Welcome to the show. This is a very special episode because tonight we're going to have a little chat about because of some questions that have been coming in. We're having our 5-day energy detox and reboot event. It's actually 5 days. If you want more information, it's satorimethod.com/energy. It's totally free. People are saying, well, it sounds great, but how do I know if I need a detox? How do I know if I need a reboot? And how do I know if my energy's blocked? So we put our heads together, as we do, and really came up with the top 6 ways that you can tell that you might have an energy block, because sometimes, you'll be so sure that the issue that you're wanting to change is based on physical, mental, or emotional, but hardly anyone looks at the energetic, and it's I think the fastest way to reverse a situation. And we feel that the root cause of almost all dis-ease is energy
disruptions in this beautiful body's energy matrix system. So just top level conversation real quick about the energy system. Actually, pre-top level, we're not doctors. You're more than welcome to ask us any question. We're here reporting on our discoveries in our own lives and the lives of our students. So we will share things with you that others have shared with us, and we will let you know what we've discovered. And we've been down the rabbit hole when it comes to personal healing and personal growth. There's a lot of different ways of looking at life, right? Like, I think most of us are probably personal development junkies that come to a training like this. Maybe that's you. That's definitely us.
And what do we mean by that? Like, we mean that in the most positive, respectful way. A personal development junkie means someone that just can't get enough of how may I serve, how may I be a better version of myself, how can I be the highest potential. That's right. They're really always reflecting back. Was that the right thing? Was that the right decision? Is that how I really feel? It's a beautiful thing.
So I am a personal development junkie, and I might be slightly recovering because we have found a way, or lens, if you will, to look through 2 minds and 2 bodies and 1 heart. And that may come up a little bit more today, but we will definitely dive into what that means in the 5-day energy. It's how we have healed this body, our relationship, our lives. It's really understanding which lens are you looking through right now. So, to the top level conversation about energy and energy matrix. Our bodies, very physical. Look in the mirror, you see a physical body, right? I can feel it. I feel the ouches, right? We see the stress. We are very physically oriented.
Yeah.
But beneath the surface and invisibly around the surface, there is energy known as life force. Chi, some call chi or prana or ki, right? This beautiful energy that animates all of life. Now, inside the body temple, there are rivers or streams, also known as channels, that this energy flows through. And when Sabrina was referencing blocks, when the energy gets blocked, like water that can't flow anymore, it backs up on one side and it creates stagnation. And on another side, it depletes. And so it creates pain. So what we're talking about is freeing those channels up so it can move in a healthy fashion. And there are other things like centers and chakras that may come into the conversation.
And what's really beautiful, I'll use this analogy that I often use when I talk about yoga, the physical stretching version.
Yes.
Let's say there's one particular stretch where you bend your leg and then you grab your foot behind you like you're pulling the heel of your foot towards your booty, right? So what does that do?
I like that.
Well, it creates a tourniquet. Right? It creates a tourniquet because there's a severe bend, right? So you are intentionally blocking the blood flow momentarily, right? Why? Because it builds up pressure, it builds up pressure, it builds up pressure. But it's with intention so that when you release the stretch, you have this extra surge of power whoosh, going through that joint, which is very cleansing, more oxygen, more power, more circulation, more force, more blood, which is one of the reasons that I think when we do one of these 5 days intensive energy expansion events or energy challenges, and this time energy detox, the results that people get during the event are so spectacular because maybe they've had a block, almost like holding that stretch. And it's been there for a long time. It's been chronic. It's been a certain situation. So when we show them how to let go of the block, that energy goes through. And that's why sometimes people are like, wait a minute, I was going to have carpal tunnel surgery and now I can grip my hand. My pain is 80% gone in an hour. It's crazy amazing. My vision is different. So these extreme things happen when the block has been there because the results are so different. Almost like when you plant a tree, right? That first 6 months, you're like, oh my gosh, it went from a little stick to a bigger tree.
How'd that happen?
As the tree gets bigger, we don't see the growth. So for those of you who are like us, just practitioners of the energy arts, the results might not be as extreme. Just like the tree, the 20-year-old tree to 21, it's hard to judge, but it's still growing. It's still happening.
I just want to do a quick shout out. We've got some friends who are showing up here. Thanks for joining us today. We see you, Gail. Hi there. Hello, Kim. Lovely to see you. Hi, Belinda. Hi, Donna. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this session. It's really a training, if you will, and it kind of will help answer those questions that some folks are having. Like Sabrina said, if you're just dropping in right now, we've had questions about how do I know if I need an energy detox. So we've identified some symptoms, if you will, feedback that folks get, that we get when energy is disrupted. So let's go through them. There are 6 of them that we've identified that we want to talk to you about. And feel free to comment in the chat if you've noticed, I did have an energy block, and when I cleared it, this is what happened.
Oh, that would be awesome, because when you share something like that, you actually give someone else who may have that same type of block the hope and the inspiration, and that is energy. Right, the belief system is a big part of the energy. Energy feels emotional, psychological, and physical. All of these combinations roll into it. So shall we begin?
Let's dig in.
Oh, should I show them this?
Oh yeah, if you haven't already registered, you definitely want to join us. You can see right there.
Oh.
Here we go. I'll do it. I'll help. I'd be the helper. That's where you can get your free gift. SatoriMethod.com/energy. It's where you get your free ticket for the 5 days, the energy detox, and you get a free gift right away. Yes, you get an energy activator. It's a 15-minute routine, and it's really cool, and it comes with a jingle. I'm going to tap, bounce, squeeze, shake, and flow.
We're going to tap, bounce, squeeze, shake, and flow.
All right, let's dig in. Go for it. Number 1, chronic pain.
You should do number 1.
Oh boy, do I know about chronic pain. So ongoing, unending pain in the body that just loops. I have seen in my own life that when pain starts in the body, it's sending these proprioceptive feedback messages through the brain and back into the body. It creates a loop. They're called proprioceptive feedback loops. And the body is very intelligent, right? It is trying to help us by protecting and guarding areas where we might feel specific acute pain, which if it goes on for a longer and longer period of time becomes chronic, and that area can then loop and shut down the information pattern, which will block the life force or the chi. Some people feel pain as inflammation, like a fibromyalgia situation, also through the whole body. We get this chronic ache throughout the whole system. Some people feel it in their nerves, and they have a neuropathy type situation, right? They just have this whole body discomfort. Now, we're not saying that physical modalities aren't helpful. Sometimes physical modalities like a massage or an adjustment or maybe even a shot or a surgery, a workout are exactly what the body needs, especially if the tissues or the physical is out of alignment. But usually when it's chronic, it is quite psychologically invested in protecting, and the disruption of the energy system continues that looping. So it gets really complicated when you have chronic pain to unravel the mystery of why is this still here. And people go chasing the physical solution for so long, and they don't look at the energetic and the emotional component. Now, let me tie those two together for you real quick. My experience of what emotions are, that's how you read your energy flow. So if you're having emotions of sadness, right? Emotions of grief, emotions of anger, those emotions are reflections of your energy is skewed or out of alignment, right?
Which a lot of us are having right now, hearing about Australia. And we did a big clearing and cleansing and prayer hour with a lot of our students this week to transform that energy of sorrow into love.
Yeah. Beautiful to be able to identify emotion, read it, and use energy tools and energy work to adjust the flow that should release the emotional component. Emotional components are very tied into chronic physical pain. You see, there's a statement in energy psychology that goes like this. The root cause of negative emotion is a disruption in your energy system. That makes sense, right? If energy turns into emotion when it's disrupted, the root cause of negative emotion is a disruption of the energy system.
Sounds like Bumblebee.
So if you could fix the energy flow, you can therefore help correct the emotion. But we also know that when emotions go on for a long period of time, they're sending signals from the emotional system, not only continuing to disrupt that energy field, but then it becomes physical pain. Does that make sense? So you're kind of chasing this little trail of pain symptomology. So here's the key. When you notice that your body's not healing quickly enough, when you're caught in chronic pain and it's been going on for a while.
Or you feel like you have a compromised immune system, a slow healing process.
Totally. Go and look at that root behind emotion and therefore possibly behind your physical dis-ease. And if you can clean up the energy system, oftentimes the physical follows. It's amazing. That's what happened to me. I had physical pain. It wasn't in my head, but my brain was involved. But I had an energy cyst in my back that had been blocked for so long. When that energy cyst opened and cleared, the chi, the life force, flowed properly again through my body, and the physical pain started to dissolve.
So if you don't know that story, and this we'll tell it during the 5-day event, it was within like an hour that for 5 years Tristan hadn't felt his leg, that he literally felt the energy move down his leg into the bottom of his foot.
It shot down my leg.
And from that day forward, after 5 years, everything just started changing. But I wanted to tell a kind of a story analogy that really helps me to understand. I sprained my ankle years ago. I misjudged the size of a stage that I was dancing on, and I chassed right off the side of it. It was about 3.5 feet tall, and as soon as one foot hit the floor, I was aware that I had chassed off and the other foot stayed on the stage, but I'm really flexible. That wasn't a problem. It was the foot I landed on. And I had never hurt anything that bad before, so I thought...
Because you're like Gumby, nothing ever breaks on you.
I was like, well, suck it up, get back up there and finish that class. And I did. And then at the end of the class, I took my shoe off and literally watched my foot just swell, like 5 times its size. And it had a long healing process that I couldn't put weight on it. I couldn't wear certain shoes. And then I started being able to move again. And I didn't even notice that I was moving around the pain. I was moving around the injury. So I'm so intelligent physically that I was like, okay, it hurts if I put weight there. So I just learned to put it a little over there.
That's what our bodies do.
And what that did is it created a habit where it felt fine. I'm talking like a month or 2 later. If I didn't even know that I had compromised the pattern of the muscle that I was using. No one watching me teach or dance would ever have known.
That's an athlete.
So with intention, I had to do certain movements and actually break scar tissue. And I remember being in a ballet class, going up on the balls of my feet and back down, and for like 3 or 4 days, and tears would run down my face because I had built scar tissue from not moving that area. But the way the body is so smart and it just goes around, the same thing can happen with energy. So sometimes I could feel like, it's definitely not my energy,
around it.
But it's because I've learned to cope and deal and almost train my brain to just be like, that's just the way it is. I just feel like that in the morning. It's just hard to put on your pants in the morning. That one leg doesn't like to come up. That's just the way it is. And you just go on with your life. So sometimes the brain is so smart, it just figures out a way to do things. And so when we remove these blocks, it's like the body has to remember, oh my gosh, there was a shortcut. Right, so instead of, if the store I need to go to is 1 block away, I've been driving like down the street and around the corner, and I can still get there. But when you remove the energy blocks, you get that shortcut.
That was so well explained. That's exactly.
Thank you.
You're very good.
You're very good.
You're an excellent interviewee. I'm not interviewing her. But that's exactly right. And, we're able to keep going because of that survival intelligence that the body has. The energy like a boulder, right, gets in the way of a river and the water finds a way around it or even through it over time. So the flow is trying to do what it does. It knows it's a universal intelligence. That's why it's so wonderful when you trust that your body is going to be supplied what it needs when you start doing energy work, because you're tapping in. We got to kind of go meta for a moment. There's energy inside of us that we're born with, almost like coming in with a full tank of gas or fully charged battery. And now that's getting depleted, and it gets depleted faster when there's blockages. It's sort of like driving with the brakes on, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, the energy really wants to flow, but it can't get through. Yeah. But there is fresh life force that we can tap into.
We're driving with the trunk full of potting soil, Rita.
You're dragging your tailpipe along the ground. But when you can free up those pathways, that energy can flow back through and you feel amazing. Mm-hmm. So that's why people have such incredible transformations when they do energy work. Okay, the next one.
We'll move through these a little faster now. We really like that one.
First one.
So number 2 is you have difficulty sleeping. Now that could be I have trouble falling asleep, or most likely it's I fall asleep, but when I wake up I can't go back to sleep, or it just feels restless. And sometimes that includes digestive issues. Right. That can be a common sign that something in the energy isn't flowing, right? There's something jars it, wakes you up, you can't get back to sleep, which is actually going to lead into another one in a minute.
My experience of that restless mind syndrome and having trouble.
That's number 6.
Sorry. Well, how it affects sleep in particular, is... Well, I can look at this in 2 ways. One is, you guys ever have that situation where you're trying to fall asleep, but this is going, and it just won't stop, right? Because it's worrying and all of that. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. And do you ever wake up in the morning feeling more tired than when you went to bed? Like you just didn't get any sleep at all? Sleep is like natural energy work. Mm-hmm. Seriously, we get recharged when we are able to correctly sleep. So if this is spinning because there's a disruption causing said negative running thoughts, it would make sense, clear your energy before you lie down to go to sleep. Chances are you're going to fall asleep, right? But then you mentioned another aspect of that, which is digestion. I also see the tie into emotional disruptions when you feel like, have you ever heard your belly rumble when you have emotions?
Oh, yeah.
Like you feel bad about something you did?
I feel like a lump in my throat, but it's connected to my stomach.
That's the power of negative thought. It completely disrupts your energy flow. So these are 2 of the big reasons people can't sleep is, oh my God, this terrible thing is happening, or you can't drop that ongoing looping hamster wheel thinking.
Well, like little Winston, our puppy who's sitting right here, so adorable, he has separation anxiety, right? So when we leave,
he thinks they left me.
He thinks, if we're gone for too long, and he starts having diarrhea, vomiting, his stomach starts making noises.
Yeah, and his energy, dogs have energy systems as well. We have to do a lot of energy work and energy flow
and he
on
loves
him.
It so much.
He loves it because it makes him feel better because it's correcting the pathway flow. So that's the second. So think about this as you're listening, and if one of these like lights up and you've been trying, I don't know, your herbal teas and all of that, which are wonderful because they all have energy in them. Counting the sheep, right? Trying the melatonin, whatever it is that you're trying. If you're not getting the results that you want and you haven't gone deeper into energy work, this could be the thing that will fix it for you. Cool? Yep. All right, so number 3, lack of mojo.
Yes.
This is a big one.
Yeah. It's like a lack of inspiration. I think it's to feel nothing, to feel almost numb,
like despondent,
like mediocrity.
Just
there's nothing. There's a lack of drive, a lack of purpose. It just sort of feels like I don't know.
Whatever.
I don't know. It's because you're not really tapping into what you feel.
You remember we said 2 bodies, 2 minds, 1 heart. This one's really about that 1 heart, right? When we teach the 5 days, we will teach our system called Satori method, or Satori as some would pronounce in the West, which is about awakening that heart center energy. And what we have found, and what our students tell us, is when you activate and awaken that inner being, that other stuff goes away.
Yeah. I guess it's the opposite of, I really like the term frisky.
Me too.
Right? Like,
frisky. I'm
friskified.
Like,
actually, right before we went live, one of our best friends sent us a video, you haven't seen it yet, of her 2-year-old, and they're visiting their grandma, and the 2-year-old went and got grandma's shower cap and put it on the dog. And put it on the Labradoodle.
Why?
And she was just laughing and laughing. The little
little girl did it.
Ellie. She thought it was so funny. And I just saw frisky. I saw this hilarious energy, a little bit mischievous maybe. And when your energy's off, it's hard to find that frisky little giddy laughter, right? Because it's a little bit more serious.
When I'm tapped into, I'm pointing here because in the energy work and specifically Qigong, we talk about this up here is heaven, Qi, heaven energy from the universe, and earth, Mother Earth, and that you bring heaven and earth together within yourself. So heaven and earth unite. And that's also mind and body. We call that body-mind aligned. They come together and they meet. They realign at heart center. So it's body, mind, spirit all becoming one again, also known as Wuji, oneness. When you bring the body and mind back into alignment, you feel like you're in your home. You're back in your innocent state. And that is very childlike. And you do get giddy and frisky and silly and playful and bubbly. It feels good. But you also feel like, hey, I'm alive. I got stuff to do. I want to play. I want to be creative. I want to be a creator. Right. And so then that drive, that mission, that purpose comes back online. So really opening the heart center, and that's an energy center that can get blocked. Now, why does it get blocked? We get shut down. Something happens and we feel hurt. We feel resentment. We feel emotional pain here. And it's scary sometimes to open this back up. Oftentimes will do this kind of stuff. Just like opening. You know, and in Qigong, you stand with your shoulders slightly back and you open your hands and you get in this receptive-like posture, training your heart to be open. But that's not vulnerable weak. That's vulnerable strong. So that's a powerful way.
Okay, so
we've done
recap.
3.
Chronic pain.
Could be a disruptive situation.
Which includes inflammation, stiffness, difficulty sleeping, or restless sleep that may or may not have a digestive component, and a lack of mojo. And number 4.
This has to do with that more intuitive area, that clarity of focus. And when we're not clear, when we don't feel so intuition is this inner knowing, this insight. So you actually, I'll tie this in a second, you have gut instinct in the belly. People say, just trust your gut. My gut told me to do it. That's an energy center that has the ability to communicate with you. And then this one here is more of the intuitive wisdom that's helping you get insight and clarity or clairvoyance. And then you have inner knowing, which is when people say, follow your heart, trust your heart. So you have these 3 levels of guidance system within you, and you want to be firing all 3. But when this one is off and this energy center and this particular chakra gate is blocked, that is when we have procrastination, because we don't have the clarity to focus forward.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I really understand this one from being a perfectionist, and a perfectionist is really just afraid of getting it wrong, right? Afraid of not doing it well. I used to think being a perfectionist was that's a compliment, but it really isn't. No. It means that I was always worrying that it wasn't going to be good enough and it needed to be perfect, or what's going to happen, right? So that procrastination would come from, I'm just not sure. I don't know. I doubt what I'm feeling is enough. I doubt what I'm going to do is enough. So I'm just going to wait, because there was a fear of putting it out there. So it also is tied into confidence.
You're actually very gut instinct, aren't you? Because you touch your lower dantian when you're speaking. So that's cool, right? Like, she's very visceral and very power center driven. I mean, you have great clairvoyance too, but that must be when, you have an awareness that's pretty strong here.
I was touching.
You kept touching this area. Yeah.
Awesome. I was clearing my toxic.
You were clearing your blocks.
Okay, number 5.
Oh boy.
Oh.
I don't have this ever.
Yeah, maybe. I think you should do this work.
This one is being moody. Is anybody in here? Raise your hand. Be honest. Do you ever get moody?
Yeah, give us the thumbs up if you ever get moody, irritable, snippy.
When my energy system gets disrupted, that is the symptomology that will show up. It's not so much physical pain anymore. That used to be my attention grabber. That was how my soul was getting. Now it's more like, right? That kind of moody. But that, I know as soon as it shows up, I am not in alignment. First of all, here, anywhere. I'm all over. I need to go do some qigong. I need to connect to center. But it's moody. Just straight up. Let's be honest here. I don't know what yours is, but that's mine.
Right. It could look like, because we've all felt it, where it's like, I'm just freaking coping.
Right.
And sometimes it's like, if someone says one thing to me, I'm so sad, I'm going to break down and cry. Or I am just barely coping, and if the next person that says something to me, I'm going to rip their head off and give them everything those last 20 people I should have given to. Oh. Right? So there's this, you're just sitting there like, I am just coping with this toxicity.
Toxicity.
Okay, and number 6.
Wait. I want to talk about that one some more. You got a lot of attention here.
All right.
Debbie says, I call it, I'm feeling fussy.
See, that's a great, frisky or fussy?
B says, moody? What's that? Donna says, snippy in a frisky way.
Snippy.
My grown-up kids do, says Belinda. So moods can show up in a variety of colors. Like you were saying, I said you're going down. Like, I'm going to take their head off. It could be sadness, right? Yeah. Moods could be irritability. They could be reactivity, right? But you're not in control. You do not own your mind. You do not own your emotional state.
Yeah, when you feel that way, do not reply to an email.
Oh my gosh.
We have a rule. Like, when you're feeling like that, don't even write on the email because you might accidentally hit send.
Oh, no, you didn't.
You gotta wait 24 hours.
Did you send that? Don't do it. Write it on a piece of paper. But just check in and don't judge. I mean, there's some people that are like, they judge themselves so hardcore for having this, but it might not be that you're wonky in the head. It might just be that you are disrupted. Yeah. Well, that's how it's showing up.
If you go back to everything we've been talking about, if you've had something chronic hurting you, if you've been nauseous all day, if you haven't slept well, if you don't have any mojo, if you're hard on yourself being a perfectionist, all of those things after minutes.
Uh-oh. Ruh-roh.
We must get our photo back. After minutes or hours have gone by, can lead to, you're just on pins and needles.
Okay, so we said that there were 6 that we were going to cover today. So we've got our final one.
Yeah, and the final one, I just feel like everyone can relate to this, is worrying and looping in these runaway thoughts that don't usually loop the most positive outcome that's possible. Why not? Why don't we do that? But it's like, it's a problem and you seek a solution, but in seeking the solution, it's like all of the horrible things that could happen and just really worrying about it, almost making yourself sick over it and obsessing over it, which all of these lead to other things, right? How well are you going to sleep? How good is your digestion going to be? What does worrying do, right? It doesn't allow for that energy to flow in the direction of positivity. That's if some of you attended our prayer circle about Australia, we really spoke about being angry at the people who started the fires doesn't help anything. Being just sad for the animals, it doesn't contribute to a positive outcome. It's only through shifting that energy to love and forward thinking the vision of a beautiful country, of the animals safe and happy again. So how do you do that to yourself? You have to shift the energy inside.
So I want to ask you a question. There's somebody on the show right now who recently sent a message in after that quantum healing, and they're a feeler and like an empath, and so their system feels really shut down when trying to slip into that positive. And I've seen you're incredibly empathetic.
Oh, yeah.
And that you were almost on your knees on the ground because you feel everything.
Oh, yeah.
And the animals and the destruction and all of that gloom.
Yeah.
This person's feeling that. How did you shift? Because they're wondering, what can they do?
I would have to say, how do I? Because it isn't just a once thing. For me, over this, with the animals, what started happening was I was looking at one of our dogs, Bentley, and every time I would see his face, it was sort of morphing into a koala face, which was, I really kept thinking all day long, I'm just going to throw up. That's how sick I felt over what I was seeing in the news and online. And for me, logic, I kind of can talk to myself. And I said, oh my gosh, but every time I feel that sick, I'm actually putting energy that is feeding the negativity. I'm feeding the horror. I'm feeding the sadness. I'm feeding the victim. This is how I deal with it. And that's the worst thing I would want to do. And so I want to bring all of the koalas and all the kangaroos into our house, but Tristan won't let me. Put little diapers on them. Right? So
if we could get
what could be the energetic experience of that for me is it's feeling that you are safe, you are loved, and holding that vision. Because I can't change what has passed, because that puts me in, I'm then the worrying looper. Right? I can only change the past by affecting the future and affecting the now. And I wanted to be the strong, we need a big force of love to counteract the negativity that's happening, as more and more people are saying and feeling, it's horrible what's happening in Australia, it's horrible. We are creating more and more horror. And that's a tough thing to really step into, right? So to counteract that temperature of energy, I ask of myself every time I find that. And I'm using Bentley as an excuse. We've been calling him our little koala. I love him. I pet him. I kiss him. I scratch him. And I feel love in the direction of those animals.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
But it is, I understand. It's
also
moment to moment.
When you're a feeler, I remember when my feeling system opened up, I felt so much that I actually couldn't stop crying. at first. And it actually took a while for me to get the tears under control to understand what's going on with me, right? And I can see why maybe certain people guard and block, because maybe they felt those type of tears and emotion in the past. They didn't know what to do with it. So it's better to shut it off. Mm-hmm. But that was creating a lot of problems in my life, and I was very disconnected from Soul Center, which is at the core of energetic work, is you're opening your whole system up so that you can realign to the energy of you, right? And that's big, because you're created by creation. So you're a pretty big being inside. That being that you are, that I am, has the capacity to comprehend and understand all of this. So there was a human interference in me causing that cry and that vulnerability. And that needed an upgrade. Because I get that we all can say, well, I'm this type of person, I handle it this way, or I'm a, I get it. We all are wired differently. Yeah. But there's still the capacity within us to handle it. And so we want to keep seeking that upgrade and going into the strength of the heart. Yeah. And when you were speaking, that requires a strength to hold space for positivity when you see so much destruction. Mm-hmm. And it's not denial, and it's not turning away and not seeing it. It's looking at it, and even when you see the evidence of this isn't what I want, you have to superimpose upon that the vision and the energy of all that is good. Right. And that requires a warrior of love. Yeah. So these energy arts, since we've discussed what symptoms to look for disruptions, at least now we're talking about what symptoms to look for on the other side of disruptions. Power, strength, compassion, energy, healing. I mean, some big stuff's coming our way when we do this training. Mm-hmm. So get excited, get lit up, start. Oh, if you haven't already, there's a gift. Tell them about the gift before we close.
Yes, there's a energy activator. It's like a success activator. Sing the song.
We're gonna tap, bounce, squeeze, shake, and flow. We're gonna tap, bounce, squeeze, shake, and flow.
So that's the free gift. I filmed it, and we filmed it at the park right here in the neighborhood. And Tristan walks you through how to activate your energy for success and really prepare it for even more detoxing and rebooting. And then during the 5-day energy event, satorimethod.com/energy, we will go into different types of modalities, different routines, different techniques that deal with all of the issues and releasing them that we talked about today.
Yes.
I wanted to just address one more time another thing that helps me is if you have somebody that you could say, what would they do? Like with me feeling towards the koalas, or if I was the koala, like let's say I was really, really sick with a disease and they're telling me I don't have much to live, what would make me feel loved would be somebody there holding space for healing for me and holding a space for love, not someone who's there vomiting at their sadness for me. Right. Being sick, sort of like some people use the what would Jesus do? What would Jesus feel? So if you can sort of borrow from a mentor and say, well, what would they do? Because that person that we look to is never going to be the one that just cries because they're sad for us. They're going to be the one that holds space for us. So then I say, well, let me hold space for Australia. Let me hold space for the kangaroos. That's a way that I get more strength.
I love you so much. You're such a good person. You're such a integrated soul. So it's an honor to sit by your side.
Until I'm not. No.
That right there. That's the frisky we're talking about. All right, beautiful friends. So thanks for popping in and joining us for this.
We always read your comments.
We do.
Afterwards.
There you go. That's your gift. And that's to join us starting next week on Monday, satorimethod.com/energy. You don't have to do it in all capitals. go and get the activator. It's really good. It's been shared a whole bunch of times by people, so it must be good, right? They're digging it.
It's all new.
Yeah, it's new. There's this rocket of energy that I hope you
Thank you for all the loves and the laughs.
And send it out. So we're going to Satori this experience starting on Monday. And as we go through, we'll teach you our mapping. We'll teach you the two minds, the two bodies, how to unify, connect to the one, and really, have a beautiful, healthy, healed body and clear on point, on purpose. All those chakras aligned, all the centers pumped full, and the channels open and friskified.
And Winnie will be there every day.
You will? You come into the energy expansion. You need some detoxing. Bye, everybody. Much love. Thanks for joining today. And thanks for all your sweet comments. Very beautiful. Okay. Ciao, ciao.